AITA for canceling my wedding after my fiancée mocked me on a livestream? I'm Jack, 34, and until that night, I thought the hardest part of getting married would be seating charts, final payments, and pretending I cared about napkin colors. I was engaged to Marissa, 32, the woman I had built years of my life around, and I honestly believed we were just stressed from wedding planning. I was wrong. Stress doesn't make someone turn your most private insecurities into a public joke. Marissa and I had been together long enough that people talked about us like we were already married. We had our habits. Friday takeout. Grocery store arguments over which brand of coffee was worth the extra $3. Her stealing the good blanket. Me pretending not to notice because I liked the way she smiled when she got away with it. She could be warm, funny, sharp, and generous. That was the version of her I fell in love with. The version who remembered small things. The version who could turn a bad day around with one ridiculous voice memo. The version who once drove across town just to drop off soup when I had a fever. But somewhere along the way, attention became a third person in our relationship. At first, it was harmless. Little posts. Funny couple pictures. Wedding planning is slowly killing us jokes. I didn't mind most of it. I'm not some guy who thinks nobody should ever post online. Marissa liked sharing things. I liked privacy. We were different, but I thought we respected the line. Then the line kept moving. One night, after a stupid argument about the guest list, I found out she had screenshots of our text conversation in her bridesmaid group chat. I only knew because Tessa, her maid of honor, accidentally mentioned something at dinner. "Oh my God," Tessa said, laughing over her wine. "When you said the thing about his cousin bringing that random girlfriend, I died." I looked at Marissa. "You sent them that?" Marissa waved it off. "It wasn't serious. They're helping me plan." It was our argument. It was about wedding stuff, Jack. It was still our argument. Her smile tightened. "You're being too serious." That became her answer for everything. If I didn't want a private joke posted, I was too serious. If I didn't want her friends knowing about a fight, I was too sensitive. If I asked her not to joke about personal stuff in front of people, I was making her feel like she had to walk on eggshells. A few months before the wedding, we were at a small game night with her friends. Someone made a joke about marriage being a trap, and Marissa laughed and said, "Jack's safe. He'd never leave this close to the wedding." Everybody laughed. I didn't. Later, in the kitchen, while she was rinsing a bowl, I said, "Don't say things like that." She didn't look at me. Like what? Like I'm too invested to have self-respect. She shut off the sink and turned around. That is not what I said. It's how it sounded. It was a joke. Not to me. For a second, she looked guilty. Then she sighed like I was exhausting her. "Fine," she said. "I won't joke about you anymore." Happy. I should have paid attention to the way she said happy, like my boundary was a punishment she was accepting. There were other moments. Small ones. The kind you explain away because they don't feel big enough to change your whole life. She would tell friends, "Jack hates being embarrassed. It's so cute." Like my discomfort was a personality quirk. She once posted a video of me half asleep on the couch after I had asked her not to record me. It wasn't humiliating by itself, but it bothered me that she laughed when I asked her to delete it. "It's not like you're naked," she said. That's not the point. She deleted it, but only after rolling her eyes. One bridesmaid, Lena, was different from the others. She was quieter, more careful. At a barbecue, after Tessa made a joke about me being trained, Lena caught me by the cooler and said, "I'm sorry. That was weird." I shrugged it off. "It's fine." She looked like she wanted to say more, but Marissa called her back to the table. By the week of the wedding, everyone was stressed. I was stressed. Marissa was stressed. My mother, Diane, was trying to pretend she wasn't worried about anything, which meant she was worried about everything. Evan, my best man, kept telling me, "Just get through the logistics. The marriage is the point." I believed that. I thought the wedding stress was making Marissa more reactive. I told myself she would settle down after the big day. I told myself I wasn't marrying her friends, her group chat, or the social media version of her. I was marrying the woman I loved. The night of her bachelorette party, I stayed home. Not because I was angry. Not because I was checking up on her. I had no interest in watching a room full of women scream over novelty straws and champagne. I ate leftover pizza at the counter and answered emails from the wedding planner. There were still questions about final headcount, vendor arrival times, and some detail about candles I had already approved 2 times. My phone buzzed around 10:40. It was Evan. You might want to see this. Below that was a link. I stared at it for a second. My stomach dipped before I even opened it. I texted back, "That's never a good text to get during your fiancé's bachelorette party." He replied almost immediately, "Don't react yet. Just watch." That was worse. I clicked. The live stream opened to Marissa in a white bride sash, holding a drink with one hand, and the phone angled slightly above her face. Music thumped in the background. Pink balloons were tied to chairs. Someone had a plastic veil on sideways. Tessa was beside her, red-faced and loud, leaning into the frame like she owned it. At first, it looked exactly like what I expected. Drunk laughing, screaming, Marissa blowing kisses at the camera. Then I heard my name. "Jack is sweet," Marissa said, dragging out the word like she was setting up a punchline. "He's stable. He's the kind of guy your mom tells you not to mess up." The comments floated up the screen. "Aw, cute. Where's Jack? Bride looks gone LOL." I didn't smile. Something in her voice bothered me. Tessa leaned in, eyes wide. "But are we talking husband material in every department?" The room erupted before Marissa even answered. I felt my hand tighten around the phone. Marissa covered her mouth like she was pretending to be shy, but she was smiling too much. "Oh my God, stop." Tessa poked her shoulder. No. This is bachelorette honesty. We need to know." Someone off camera yelled, "Tell the truth." Marissa looked directly into the phone. "He's sweet, but honestly?" She paused. I remember the tiny delay before she said it. Not because she was too drunk to know better. Because she knew exactly where the line was, and she was choosing to step over it. "He's terrible in bed," she said. "Should I still marry him?" The room exploded. Tessa screamed, laughing. Somebody slapped the table. Someone else yelled, "Marissa!" But even that sounded like entertainment, not horror. The comments went insane. "Wait, did she just say Jack's name? Jack, get in here. No way, this is real. Girl, end the live. That's not bachelorette humor. That's mean. Tag him, tag him, tag him." Then my phone started buzzing with notifications. People were tagging me. For a few seconds, I didn't move. I just sat there at my kitchen counter with cold pizza on a paper plate, watching the woman I was supposed to marry turn something private into a crowd activity. The first feeling wasn't rage. It was clarity. It was like my body got very still and some tired part of me whispered, "There it is." Because it wasn't just the words. The words were awful, yes. But it was her face afterward. She didn't look shocked at herself. She didn't look sorry. She looked thrilled that the room was reacting. Someone asked in the comments, "Is Jack watching?" Marissa squinted at the screen. "I hope not." Then she laughed again. That was when I started recording. My hands were steady in a way that scared me. I screen recorded the live stream. I took screenshots of the comments, the viewer count, her face, the part where my name was visible, the part where people tagged me. I didn't call. I didn't text her. I didn't give her the chance to delete it and tell me I misunderstood. After I had enough saved, I typed one comment. Then don't. I hit send. For a second, nothing happened. Then Tessa's face changed. "Oh my God," she said. Her smile dropped like someone had cut a string. "Jack's in here." Marissa blinked. "Wait, what?" The comments jumped again. He commented. Jack said, "Then don't." "No way." "Oh, she's done. End it. End it now." Someone off camera said, sharper this time, "Marissa, end it." Marissa stared at the screen, and for the first time that night, she looked sober. "What?" she said softly. Tessa grabbed at the phone. Okay, live is over, guys." The screen went black. I sat there in the quiet kitchen, hearing only the hum of the refrigerator and my own breathing. Then my phone began to vibrate nonstop. Marissa called first. I didn't answer. Tessa called. I didn't answer. Another bridesmaid. Then Marissa again. Then a number I didn't recognize. I put the phone face down and opened my laptop. The first person I sent the recording to was Richard, Marissa's father. That may sound cold, but Richard mattered. Months earlier, when Marissa and I got engaged, he pulled me aside after dinner. He wasn't dramatic. He just looked me in the eye and said, "All I ask is that you respect my daughter." I had taken that seriously. So I sent him the video with one sentence. "This is why there won't be a wedding." Then I emailed the wedding planner and the venue. Due to a serious personal matter, I need to cancel or pause all arrangements connected to my portion of the wedding. Please confirm all cancellation policies, deposit status, and remaining balances in writing. I copied myself on everything. I made folders. Venue. Catering. Photographer. Rehearsal dinner. Honeymoon. Gifts. Ring. I saved deposit receipts and contracts. It felt insane and practical at the same time. My chest hurt, but my brain was clear. I texted Evan. Wedding's off. Don't call yet. I'll explain with proof. He replied fast. I'm here. Whatever you need. Then another message. Don't answer anyone while you're angry. Send me what you want backed up. That was why Evan was my best man. I sent him the recording and the screenshots. Then I texted one more thing. Make sure nobody from my family hears her version first. He wrote back. On it. My mother called 2 minutes later. I almost didn't answer. Not because I didn't want to talk to her, but because hearing her voice was going to make this real. I answered anyway. Jack. Diane said. Mom. Her voice changed immediately. What happened? I swallowed. Marissa went live at her bachelorette party and said something about me. Something private. Something humiliating. Silence. Then, very carefully, she asked, Is the wedding off? Yes. She took a breath. I expected panic. I expected, are you sure? I expected something about guests and money and embarrassment. Instead, she said, I'm sorry this happened, but I'm glad you found out before the vows. That broke something in me more than yelling would have. I feel stupid, I said. You're not stupid. I should have seen it. You saw it enough to stop it. I stared at the laptop screen until the vendor email blurred. She added, canceling a wedding is painful. Marrying disrespect is worse. After that, I sent one message to the wedding group chat. It had both families, the wedding party, and a few people who definitely didn't need to be there, but had been added during planning chaos. My message was simple. The wedding is canceled. I will not marry someone who publicly humiliated me about private matters on a live stream. I won't discuss this in a group chat. Any logistics about vendors, gifts, deposits, or personal property should go through email. Then I left the chat. I didn't stay to watch the explosion. I didn't want 17 people reacting in real time while my life burned down. But leaving the chat did not stop the calls. Tessa called 6 times. On the 7th, I answered. Jack, she said, breathless. There was noise behind her, crying and talking over each other. Please, just take the comment down. I almost laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because her first concern was still the audience. The comment. I said, people are screenshotting everything. Then she should be careful what she says when everything is being recorded. She was drunk. Drunk didn't make her invent my name. She didn't mean it like that. She said my name. She meant me. Tessa lowered her voice. Her dad called. She's sobbing. Good. That's really harsh. What's harsh is asking strangers if you should marry someone while insulting them. She's embarrassed. She embarrassed me first. Jack, come on. Don't blow up your whole wedding over one joke. I sat back in the chair. She didn't mind saying it live. She can explain it live. Tessa went quiet. Then she said, You sent it to Richard? Yes. Oh my God. I'm done talking to you. Jack. I hung up. A few minutes later, Marissa called again. This time, I answered. The first thing I heard was crying. You sent it to my dad? She said. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I hurt you. Not, are you okay? You sent it to my dad. I looked at the dark reflection of myself in the laptop screen. You sent it to everyone watching. I was joking. You were laughing. That's not the same thing. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I actually pulled the phone away from my ear and stared at it. Then I put it back. Marissa. What? You went live and told the internet I was terrible in bed. She sobbed harder. It was one drunk joke. Private apologies don't erase public humiliation. You should have called me privately. You didn't humiliate me privately. That's not fair. No, what you did wasn't fair. Her tone shifted, the way it always did when guilt didn't work fast enough. So you're just going to throw away years because I made one mistake? This isn't about one joke. It's about what you thought you were allowed to do to me. I didn't think you would actually cancel the wedding. There it was. Not I didn't think it would hurt you. Not I didn't think before I spoke. I didn't think you would actually cancel the wedding. I said, that was your mistake. She got quiet. Then she whispered, You're punishing me because I was honest. No, I said. I'm refusing to marry someone who needs a crowd to disrespect me. She started crying again, but the sound didn't move me the way it used to. Not because I hated her. I didn't. That would have been easier. I still loved the version of her I thought I was marrying. I just finally understood that version did not protect me. I'm not meeting you tonight, I said. Jack, please. No. Anything about money, gifts, vendors, or personal property goes through email. You're being cold. I'm being careful. I hung up. For a while, I just sat there. The kitchen light felt too bright. The house felt too quiet. My phone kept flashing on the counter like a little emergency light. Then a message came in from Richard. I opened it slowly. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. A second message followed. When I asked you to respect my daughter, I should have asked whether she respected you too. I read that sentence 3 times. It didn't fix anything, but it steadied me. The wedding planner responded around midnight with a calm, professional email that felt bizarre against the rest of the night. She wrote that she was sorry for the circumstances, then listed cancellation policies, deadlines, non-refundable deposits, and which vendors required direct notice from us separately. Some money was gone. Some might be partially recovered. The honeymoon had fees. The photographer deposit was non-refundable unless they rebooked the date. The venue could return part of the final payment if I confirmed cancellation in writing before morning. So I confirmed. Before sunrise, the wedding existed only as a spreadsheet, a folder of receipts, and 100 people waking up to confusion. I slept maybe 40 minutes. At 6:30, I woke up to a text from Lena. I'm sorry. I stared at it. I didn't answer at first. Then another came. I should have said something before tonight. That made my stomach turn. I typed back. Before what? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Before they made it a plan. I sat up. Lena sent a screenshot. It was from the bridesmaid group chat. The timestamp was from 2 days before the bachelorette party. Marissa, I kind of want to test his reaction. Tessa, test who, Jack? Marissa, yeah. He's been too calm lately. Like weirdly calm. Another bridesmaid. Calm about what? Marissa, the wedding. Me. Everything. I want to see if he actually cares enough to fight for me. Tessa, LOL, make him jealous. Marissa, no, jealousy stuff is boring. I know what gets him serious. Then came the next screenshot. Bridesmaid, by bringing up bedroom stuff? Marissa, that's the one thing he always gets serious about. Bridesmaid, isn't that kind of cruel? Marissa, he'll get over it. He always does. I felt the room tilt. I had been hurt when I thought it was a drunken humiliation. I had been angry when I thought she crossed a line because she liked attention too much. But this was different. This was planning. Lena sent more. Marissa, if he gets mad, I'll just say I was being honest before the wedding. People love that. Tessa, risky but iconic. Marissa, he won't leave. He hates public drama. There it was again. He won't leave. That was what she believed about me. Not that I loved her. Not that I trusted her. Not that we had built something worth protecting. She believed my shame made me manageable. Lena sent one final message. I laughed along at first and I hate that. I'm not sending this because I'm trying to get involved. I just don't want you thinking it was only alcohol. I typed. Thank you for telling me. Then I saved every screenshot. I forwarded them to Evan and put copies in the same folder as the recording. He called immediately. This time, I answered. Please tell me you're not alone with her, he said. I'm not. Good. She planned it. I saw. I don't even know what to do with that. You keep doing what you're doing. Calm. Written. Documented. I rubbed my face with my hand. I want to scream. I know. I want to post everything. Don't. I won't. You don't have to become her to beat her. That stayed with me. By late morning, the story had started spreading in fragments. Some people had seen the live stream. Some had only seen my comment. Some heard Marissa was drunk and emotional. Some heard I had humiliated her in front of everyone. A cousin texted me, "Is it true you canceled because of a joke?" I sent back, "No. I canceled because of public humiliation and planned emotional manipulation." Then I attached nothing. If they needed proof and were directly involved, I would show them. If they wanted gossip, I was not feeding them. Marissa posted a story around noon. It was a black background with white text. Heartbroken that one dumb joke can erase years. I guess some people only love you when you're perfect. I stared at it for a long time. My thumb hovered over the screen recording. I could have destroyed her with one upload. I knew that. A part of me wanted to. A raw, ugly part that wanted the crowd she invited to turn and look at her instead. But I didn't post it. Not because I was protecting her image. Because I was protecting myself from becoming a person who turned pain into content. Still, The story backfired without my help. People had seen the live. People had recorded parts of it. Someone replied to her story and sent me a screenshot of their own message to her. That wasn't one joke. You asked strangers if you should marry him while insulting him. Another person wrote, I was in the live. Don't rewrite it. By afternoon, Marissa had deleted the story. Then the bridesmaids started turning on each other. Tessa texted me again, even though I had told her not to call. For what it's worth, I didn't think she'd actually say it that directly. I didn't answer. Then, she took it too far. I still didn't answer. Then, please don't tell people I encouraged it. I blocked her. Richard called that evening. I almost didn't pick up because I was exhausted, but I did. His voice sounded older than it had the last time I saw him. Jack, he said, I won't keep you long. Okay. I watched the full recording. I closed my eyes. I also saw messages, he continued. Lena sent them to me after I asked what really happened. I didn't know that. He took a slow breath. I love my daughter. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But loving her doesn't require me to defend what she did. I didn't trust myself to speak. He said, I'm sorry. Truly. Thank you. She wants me to convince you to talk in person. I'm not doing that. I told her I wouldn't ask. That surprised me. He added, You're making the right decision, keeping things in writing. I looked at the pile of printed contracts on the table. It doesn't feel right. It feels terrible. Right things can feel terrible. We sat in silence for a second. Then he said, I hope one day this feels less humiliating. I swallowed. Me too. After we hung up, my mother came over with food I didn't ask for and definitely needed. She didn't make a big speech. She set containers on the counter, looked at the laptop, looked at me, and said, Have you eaten anything that wasn't pizza? No. She opened a drawer like she owned the place. Then we'll start there. While she heated soup, I told her about the screenshots. She stood very still, spoon in hand. She planned it, she asked. Yes. Diane's face hardened in a way I rarely saw. She didn't just embarrass you, she said. She tested how much disrespect you would swallow. That was exactly it. For the next few days, my life became a series of practical humiliations. Canceling the honeymoon meant explaining, in writing, that the trip was not happening. Returning gifts meant people asking awkward questions. The registry had to be closed. A few guests wanted to know whether they should cancel flights. Some vendors were sympathetic. Some were polite, but firm. Money was lost. Not everything wrapped up neatly, because real life doesn't refund your pain just because you made the right choice. Marissa kept trying to pull me into emotional conversations. Her emails started formal. Jack, can we please talk like adults? Then desperate. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I made a mistake. Then angry. You're enjoying this. You wanted a reason to leave. Then self-pitying. Everyone thinks I'm a monster now. I answered only what needed answering. Money, gifts, vendors, and personal property can be discussed by email. I am not meeting alone. The wedding remains canceled. She hated that. One evening, she left a voicemail from an unknown number. So that's it, she said, crying. You're throwing us away? I listened once, then deleted it. The next day, I agreed to one call. Not in person, not at night, not without telling Evan first. I put it on speaker and sat at the kitchen table with a notepad in front of me, even though I didn't write much. Marissa sounded smaller than usual. Hi, she said. Hi. I don't know how we got here. I looked at the notepad. I do. She sniffed. I hate what I said. You hated the consequences. That's not fair. You still haven't asked how it felt for me. Silence. Then, softly, how did it feel? I almost laughed because it sounded like she was reading from a script. It felt like the person I trusted most decided my humiliation was useful. She started crying again. I was scared. Of what? You were so calm about everything. The wedding. The plans. Me. I thought maybe you didn't care. So you decided to hurt me in public? I wanted you to react. I did. Not like that. No. You wanted me to beg. She didn't answer. I said, you wanted an audience. Now you have one. That's cruel. What you did was cruel. This is consequence. She breathed shakily into the phone. I didn't think you'd actually leave. I know. I thought you loved me more than that. I loved you enough to give you chances. I don't love anyone enough to marry disrespect. You're making me sound abusive. I'm describing what happened. It was supposed to be a stupid joke. No. A joke is something both people can laugh at. What you did needed an audience because you knew I wouldn't laugh. She went quiet again. Then she said, "Can we postpone instead of cancel?" No. Counseling? No. You won't even try? I tried when I asked you not to share private things. I tried when you sent our arguments to your friends. I tried when you joked that I'd never leave. You heard all of that and planned the live stream anyway. Her crying changed. Less panic. More anger. So that's it. Yes. You're really done. Yes. She whispered, "I don't know who I am without this wedding." That was the first thing she said that actually sounded honest. And for 1 second, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered sitting at my kitchen counter while strangers typed my name under her laughter. "I hope you figure that out," I said. "But it won't be with me." I ended the call. The ring was handled through a neutral arrangement. I didn't want a dramatic handoff in a parking lot. I didn't want tears in a doorway. I didn't want a last-minute performance where she could say I was cold or cruel or unstable. Everything went through writing. Some people thought that was harsh. A few relatives muttered that weddings make people crazy and maybe I should have forgiven her after she apologized. One aunt told my mother, "Young people put too much weight on social media." My mother told her, "This wasn't social media. This was disrespect with witnesses." That ended that conversation. Lena sent one final message a week later. "I'm sorry again. I should have stopped it." I replied, "I hope next time you do." She said, "Me too." That was the end of it. I didn't become friends with her. She didn't become some romantic plot twist. She was just a person who did the right thing late, and late was still better than never. Marissa's funny bride image didn't survive the week. Not because I launched some revenge campaign. I didn't need to. Enough people had watched her laugh. Enough people had seen her try to shrink it into one dumb joke. Enough people knew there were screenshots showing it had been discussed ahead of time. The thing about building a personality around being brutally honest is that eventually people notice the brutality more than the honesty. I wish I could say I felt amazing after canceling everything. I didn't. I felt embarrassed, angry, grieved, relieved, sometimes all in the same hour. I'd see a vendor email and feel sick. I'd find a wedding favor sample in a drawer and want to throw it across the room. I'd wake up and forget for half a second, then remember that the person I planned to marry had turned me into a live stream punchline. But underneath all of that, there was something steady. I had not screamed. I had not threatened. I had not posted revenge clips for strangers to cheer over. I had not begged her to respect me after she proved she didn't want to. I simply refused to stand at an altar and reward someone for treating my dignity like a prop. People kept saying, "You canceled over one sentence." They were wrong. I canceled over the silence before that sentence, when she knew she should stop and didn't. I canceled over the laughter after it, when she enjoyed the damage. I canceled over the group chat where she planned to use my insecurity as a test. I canceled over every time I had said, "Please don't make private things public," and she heard, "He'll get over it." Marissa thought humiliating me live would prove I loved her enough to fight for her. It proved something else. It proved I loved myself enough to leave before the vows made it harder. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.